Welcome back to another exciting episode of Dazed and Infused. I'm Latham Woodward, your host. Today we have Piper Lindeen. She is the Corporate Development Manager for Americans for Safe Access, advancing legal medical marijuana therapeutics and research. Piper, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Latham.
Well, it's been a while since I saw you in Las Vegas, but you continue the good work. Why don't you, after our first question here is, we ask all guests, what's your historical relationship to cannabis? How'd you come to cannabis in the first place?
Well, coming to cannabis and coming to medical cannabis are a little bit different for me. So I'm going to stick with the coming to medical cannabis because that's what I'm most passionate about.
Sure.
So I came to medical cannabis when my son we were told that my son was going to lose his ability to speak in a short amount of time, and then possibly lose other developmental factors shortly after. So we turned to cannabis. It was remarkable. I found a recipe online for THCA tincture and worked fantastic. The first thing we used for him, he didn't have any seizures. He returned to his normal self from before the seizures started taking him away from us. And then after that ran out, I made another batch and it didn't work so well. So I realized that, there was a lot of nuance to medicating with cannabis, and I needed to work on trying to help to pass federal legislation so that we can figure out how to effectively and consistently medicate with cannabis, not just my son, but all kids, all patients.
Yeah. And I, growing up in the cannabis industry in California, for me, I do lump in cannabis into one bigger group, meaning all cannabis is, it applies to me because everyone I knew, it was either recreational, but they used it for something, right? It was alleviating some issue in their life. Was your experience with your son, did it continue on a positive pathway?
Oh yeah, he's doing really remarkably. So we started medicating him at age 6, and he's now 15. So he still suffers relapses. So we get about 8 months of seizure freedom that I'm, if he wasn't on cannabis, we wouldn't have the child that we have right now. He's pretty close to his age developmentally, and I blame him not being on par with his peers on that regression or the relapses that he has during those 4 months. And so that's why, like I said, it's important for me to advance federal legislation.
Were you inspired by the Charlotte Figi story?
I was, yes. And I'm a dental hygienist by profession. Actually, I work as corporate development manager for Americans for Safe Access as a volunteer.
Wow.
I still do clean teeth.
Okay.
Throughout the week and just do that in my spare time. But I had, when we started medicating him, Sanjay Gupta was on the news with the Charlotte Figi stories, and patient after patient who knew what we were enduring with our kids, because you build these relationships with patients. And a lot of times I had patients in the chair when I had to get up and speak with the nurse who was calling the office because my son had a seizure at school. So it actually was, even though I had a lot of patients say you should look into cannabis, thanks to Charlotte Figi's story, I had one patient who's a retired nurse, Jackie Newberry, who really stressed to me and said, we need to meet for lunch and talk about this in depth for your son. And so she was really the nudge that that made me really seriously consider it. She brought me some clinical clinical research documentation about, why I should really consider it. So
yeah. Well, the story is amazing because it's not just you, it's so many other moms and dads out there who've done what's right. They've moved states, they've uprooted their lives just to get their children treated. Were you up against that thing where you had to move states?
Well, we didn't move. We're in Texas. I worked for I felt it was easier to go the illicit route than to move to
Mm,
uproot our family. For one thing, we had traveled to Colorado, and Colorado and Washington, Oregon were really the only options for us
right.
at that time. And so, and Colorado had a year waiting period for pediatric patients to get their red card. And so that kind of made us think, well, if we have to wait, we're going to have to try this now anyways. And so went that other route. But I also, I don't know. My mom says I'm an activist
Mm,
at heart. And so I felt like I couldn't leave for the reasons that, there's patients who really physically and financially can't entertain that in their scope. And so I
right.
felt like I have the ability to work towards change in Texas because of my circumstances. And then, all of these people, they rely on the support when they moved, seeing friends who I was networked with on Facebook, moving to Colorado, they had to rely on the support of other medical refugees
Mm,
from the Medical Cannabis Refugees Program, to help them with all of the, I mean, it's difficult enough having a special needs kid or a kid with major health issues. You shouldn't have to move your whole family, uproot everything
agreed. Agreed.
to get them what they need. And and the truth is we're still in that state, even if even if patients have good access within their state, they still don't have access to everything that they need. We don't have great access to research. We don't have access to interstate commerce. We have a lot of financial barriers to the industry that are issues that are just passed along to patients, and I mean, and they should be
Can I show
passed
you?
along.
Let me show you something in the camera here that I got when I was in South by Southwest. Okay.
Hey, you were at South by Southwest. I didn't get to see you.
I was
Aw.
there. Um, so your website is
Mhm.
really well done in terms of being an informative source. It's really well done. I would
You're
emphasize
talking
every.
about Americans for Safe Access
I
website.
am
Yes.
safeaccessnow.org. If you don't,
Yes.
if you have a chance, go to safeaccessnow.org and check it out because it answers in a very analytical fashion and complete fashion a lot of questions a lot of people would have for
Right.
medical cannabis for sure.
Right.
And it's like an important resource. And I was just perusing it this morning again, and I was like, wow, this people need to read this. So
Right.
if you're listening or watching, go to safeaccessnow.org and check it out because answers to questions you may have may be there.
It is. It's got a lot of information on there, a lot of resources. Our State of the States reports is a really important resource for effectively communicating message to a legislator, policymaker. There's a lot of resources. We're taking the Advocacy Academy on the road, and to any volunteers who are up for coordinating the event within their city. They can bring Americans for Safe Access and offer training to locals for advocating within their state, or even if these people want to head to DC for advocacy training. But I did want to say, and I don't want to segue too far from Americans for Safe Access, but as my volunteer position, I also started a website, shredtheschedule.com. So it's
You beat me to it. I was going to ask you about it.
so I'm excited. It's not really up right this minute, but I'm hopefully going to have it up. Like there's the host has some sort of technical things that I have somebody working on for me with them, and hopefully we'll be up within the next hour.
Well, let's talk about Shred the Schedule, and that's kind of where I met you
Yep.
at the Beverage Council party.
Yes.
You had your little blow up guitar there, and your
Yeah.
shred, and it was Shred the Schedule on Instagram, I think, right? Isn't that what the
Well,
effort was?
the effort was primarily on LinkedIn, and I feel like that's where I'm gearing this towards primarily, at least in the beginning, because I want to bring industry people, and cannabis industry is real strong on LinkedIn. Um, Cannabis industry people into the activism and advocacy aspects, because it's so important to have everybody, and these are people we already know what they believe. They all support
Yeah.
medical cannabis. So best to recruit those people and get them to start recruiting within their other extended networks. So I'm encouraging
So
people
what
to.
is Shred the Schedule though?
So Shred the Schedule. So when we met, the blow up guitar was it started out as Air Shred for ASA. So it was an air guitar contest, or not contest, like air guitar campaign that
Okay.
I was hoping would be something like ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. But as I went along and had a difficult time, I did have some wonderful people participate in the very beginning. But I could see that, people were reluctant to do an air guitar routine on camera, and decided to make it a lot easier. So I'm about to relaunch as just Shred the Schedule, where it's just, with a schedule DEA schedule status of cannabis written on a piece of paper. Just tear it in half and say, I support Americans for safe access. I challenge you 3 people to shred the schedule, and then
Yes.
that's it.
So it
So
has nothing to do with you erasing your entire Google Planner or
no.
that kind of schedule.
No, don't shred that schedule. I know
No, you don't need that.
it's confusing to my mom, but I figure it's also a good informative way to get people to, and that's what the website shredtheschedule.com is going to be geared for, geared towards, is educating people on what the schedule status is,
Hmm.
why it's a problem, and how do we fix it. So
So
those are my main components of the page.
so since you are into policy, where do you feel we are right now with regard to rescheduling or descheduling, rescheduling? Where are we, do you think?
So okay, let me first say that I support full access. I think it's within everyone's right to consume whatever they feel like consuming, as long as it doesn't hurt other people. And so I think that you know people kind of get stuck in this reschedule, deschedule, because they think we can only have one or the other. And I feel like that's not how it should be.
Hmm.
Ultimately, we need to have a medical program, and then an adult use program that's separate from the medical program. So I think that.
Wait, let's stop there. Let
Uh-huh.
Tell people why you think that's important, because I agree with you, and I think there is a place for medical and rec, and they should be separated. But what's your reasoning?
So
Let's hear
my
it.
reasoning is, I feel like, if patients are so if we have a medical program and we have patients who are using it as adult use, and there's a lot of disagreement about this. I feel like I don't feel like I use cannabis for medical reasons. I feel like I use it for spiritual reasons,
Okay.
and to relax. And I don't know, I think maybe having a son who has severe health issues, that's a distinction for me. I fail to see the connection in my mind of my use and my son's use.
Yeah.
So there's that. But I feel like if we're sending people to a medical, having to say that they have a medical reason to use it, so if they want to use it spiritually, it's kind of uh, uh tainting the results of what we might see. So the data, the data that we get for these medical things, and then that causes us to not be able to achieve the best results in using it medically, because we don't have authentic data there.
Yeah.
So I think that's an important reason. And then I think that to have that distinction is important, because there are some people, within the public who really see cannabis, adult use cannabis is harmful. And, we need to get all of these patients off of the battlefield. We need to, we need to give them access now. And this is something that medical access is 93% of Americans support. It's got bipartisan support. It's something that we can get done right away.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, I feel it's, even though I like to partake. Patients need it. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not an option for them.
I'm going to differ with you just slightly. I
Sure.
agree with everything you said, but in my experience, especially with having anxiety at times,
Mhm.
I view cannabis as one of those things that, from in your term, spiritual, where you can use cannabis to alleviate issues that you're not focusing on. Because sometimes, if you're ill, right, and you have a bad illness, whether it's cancer or migraines or whatever, cannabis doesn't cure those things, but it sure as hell keeps your mind off of them. It helps you keep your mind off them. And I find that to be a very, very powerful medicine in itself. I guess that would be addressing spiritual. But it also, I've seen it work for people who are just so in their head, you know,
Mhm. Mhm.
and they can't get past things, that it
Mhm.
helps them get past things, which
Mhm.
is important to me. But I think we're all talking the same language here. So it
Right. I
just
mean, I
means,
would think that those are a medical use. If
I would say so too.
I would call those a medical use. I would just not call my own use a medical use.
No, personal habits like me. Yeah, dropping a
I
gummy
mean, and
last
I
night.
mean,
Exactly.
I mean, my use may change throughout my life too. So it's not to say, you have to have something cut and dry. Like I can only ever be an adult use patient. I
No,
feel
no.
like, my needs change. So my categories may change, but I think that there should be a distinction because it's all about, I mean, I feel like I'm a goal oriented person. So I feel like it's all about goals. So what are my goals? If I want to, whatever, have a gummy or smoke out and think about the God and the universe and, why are we here? Things like that. That's my goal, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to have distractions from that. I want to be able to focus on that. And, if my goal is healing, whether it be like to alleviate the stress of dealing with some sort of condition. And also I want to disagree with you. I mean, I think that cannabis can cure
Well,
some things that we have. We tend to not assign it that label of being able to cure right now, but I think that there's potential there. And that's one of the reasons why I want to focus on medical also, is if we have uh, the kind of research that we're capable of having, uh, as long as we fix the schedule,
yeah.
then we probably can cure lots of conditions.
So let's go back to that question then. Do you feel, I mean, you've said the resources there, you said the bipartisan supports there, you said, there is a wave toward this. Why aren't we getting there? Or am I just being like, I mean, I've been hearing this for 15 years, why are
Well,
we
I
not getting there?
I think we're not getting there because it's not a big enough focus for legislators, and that's part of my plan with Shred the Schedule, is to make it a talking point and something that makes the news again. Like Charlotte Figi did. There was a lot of progress because it was getting a lot of attention in the
Yeah.
media, and honestly, I hope that me and my family are not the center of the attention, but that the grassroots activism of so many people who have already participated in this campaign and whom I hope will continue to participate in this campaign. I want the focus to be on everyone,
Uh,
everyone in need.
Do you know, are you familiar with Gary Lowe from Original Emu Oil?
No, sorry.
I'll introduce you. I think you and Gary will have a lot in common. Gary makes Original Emu Oil, which is the only, and he's been on the show before, and I know him very well. He makes an oil and a salve, and he supplies it free of charge to butterfly children,
Oh,
children
awesome.
whose skin sloughs off their bodies
Mhm,
and
mhm,
they're in constant pain. And he has discovered through his outreach to these kids that it's the only thing that helps them. It's
mhm,
amazing. I mean,
mhm.
and Gary's story is so inspirational that I'll make sure that you get in touch with Gary and to hear his side of it, because he's a great advocate for the plant.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, like when you hear things like this, it's like, why are we depriving people of their best lives, you know? Just
Yeah.
because of this reluctance to take action by legislators. And legislators, I mean, they have a lot of stuff on their plates. We just have to make sure that we say, you can't keep moving patients like this to the back burner. I mean, these
Yeah.
kids that you're talking about, that Gary helps, like they deserve to not live like that. And especially when
Absolutely.
there's something that can help them, and we're just legally depriving them from that. It doesn't make sense.
All right, so let's go to the dark side a little bit here. How
Mhm.
much do you think outside influences, whether it be pharma, tobacco, or alcohol, have to do with not getting descheduled?
So I think that pharma and tobacco and alcohol are probably starting to wane in their influence against. Obviously, they are all kind of trying to get into the game, and it's smart. It's a good thing. I mean, we've as advocates, we've done a good job of making them understand that I mean, and then figuring out how to make cannabis water soluble was a big factor there too.
Oh yeah,
but advocates, I think, have done a great job of making them see. And now I think the biggest hurdle, my understanding, is drug testing companies, because they make
yeah.
so much on drug testing for cannabis, and they want to
I never even thought about that. I never even thought about that.
that's the biggest lobby against cannabis right now.
I'm
So it's
By the
my
way, I'm
understanding.
happy you brought up water solubility, because that we're gonna have to take a break here and talk about our sponsor today. Our sponsor
Woohoo!
today is Go Next Level Nano 2O. That's two and the letter O. They make 100% truly water soluble and very, very tasty nano for use in products like mine, Shuggies. We use it and Zaza snack foods and so many other brands, including Granny B Goods. Fast acting, 8 to 14 minutes, and always replicable. It's an amazing high, very much a body high, and I think everyone who tries it will like Go Next Level. Look for Go Next Level online, and you can always reach out to me if you would like to be connected to Go Next Level Nano 2.0. Piper, let's round this out with any other issues you want to bring up that are prescient right now, or advocacy that people need to hear about and get active on.
Well, if you look at Americans for Safe Access webpage, the safeaccessnow.org, there are a lot of campaigns that we're beginning. So we need people to participate within their district. So it's grassroots advocacy, contacting your members of Congress and things like that. Even just finding out who in your congressperson's office deals with the farm bill and who deals with medical cannabis outside of the farm bill. Even just finding out that information and letting Americans for Safe Access know is helpful. And that just takes a little short phone call. So who handles this and who handles this? And then email it to Ali, ALI, at safeaccessnow.org. That would be really helpful. And then signing up to see what we've got on our website, that Get Involved. So it's safeaccessnow.org/get involved. That's a great place to find out what's going on and how you can help. And then, again, to visit my site. Hopefully it's up. I mean, I'm sure it'll be up by the time this isn't live, is it? Is this
No, it
live?
is not like
No, it's
no.
not live. So I'm sure it'll be up by the time this
It'll be
gets out.
posted by tomorrow. But let's roll back and go. How do people? Because there's a lot of younger people who listen to the show or watch the show. Um, you can just go on to your local state government website. You find out who your representative is. You click on it. They have to take all messages, and I think I've done it before, and they have responded. So you don't necessarily even have to write them an email. But an email is a very effective methodology for contacting your representatives and letting them know what you want them to be doing.
Yes. 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 And an email from the heart, especially if you say something about why it's an important issue to you. And then this is something that I'm hoping to have on my website too, but it is going to take people getting involved in this as well. So I have a page, Why Do You Advocate, where I'm asking people to send in videos of themselves saying why medical cannabis is an important issue for them. And so I'm hoping to have like the links on my page, and then we'll also have them on the YouTube page. But so again, we can focus on that. This isn't my family that needs this. This isn't and any of the other specific families who are struggling with this. This is so many people who are struggling with this, and so many people who need this. And we've got to get that message across to members of Congress and members of the public who aren't in the know about this, who aren't savvy about medical cannabis, to make them understand, oh, there's somebody who lives on my block that needs medical cannabis access. That kid that that is in a wheelchair down the street from me needs medical cannabis access. So those are the things that we need to share. It's like, why do you feel that this is an important issue?
What is the address again for your website?
Shredtheschedule.com. It's just SHREDTHESCHEDULE.com.
I will put that as an individual slide in the YouTube video today. So
awesome.
People can go right to, and I will also put up a slide for safeaccessnow.org to make sure that we get more advocacy on this. So we can mix the last question up on our interview. It's always tell us a Stony story, and you feel free to, or you can tell us an inspirational story about maybe a family that used medical in a, you don't have to name names, but maybe there's some other stories out there.
Yeah, no, I have a friend whose husband had cancer, and they're real conservative in this area, and I kept asking her if she wanted to try for her husband, and they kind of ran out of all options. He was put on hospice, and then she said, okay, this is something where maybe we should look into it. She reached out to me, and they had incredible experiences, made lots of wonderful memories. They have a 5-year-old daughter, and made lots of wonderful memories. She said he was able to, he wasn't feeling well at all, and took the THCA tincture that I made for him, and immediely felt better, and said, let's go to movies, and let's go to have lunch. And
that's great.
And then, the thing is that, it's I'm not trying to say it's me who changed something in their life. It's cannabis and people sharing this, because I wouldn't have had access to that if somebody hadn't taken action, if Steve Elliott hadn't taken action to write that story and put that up, and David Mapes hadn't taken the time to make the recipe and make it available. So it's all of us who can take action in the ways that that we can take action to make difference for other people. And so
that's a great Stony medical story. I like that. Thank you for mixing it up a bit. So that brings today's episode of Dazed and Infused to an end with Piper Lindeen from Americans for Safe Access, the acronym ASA and ASA. And you can find them at safeaccessnow.org, and look up Piper Lindeen's personal site. That's shredtheschedule.com. And when you read that, just remember you're shredding the schedule that cannabis is currently on, and activism is very necessary at this point.
And I'd like to say, it's not my website, it's my idea, and I can't do it without anybody. I couldn't do it without anybody who has and who will participate. So it's
that's great. I love that.
It's our website.
Well, Piper, thanks for being on the show today and bringing your advocacy to the plant and to patients around the United States and perhaps further. if you have anything to announce in the future, please, you're always welcome on the show, and we'd love to have you on.
Thank you so much, Latham.
You're welcome, man. We'll see you again here on Dazed and Infused. This show, as always, is brought to you by Shoogies, SHOOGIES, delicious 500 milligram and 1000 milligram agave powder infused concentrate. Look for it at a dispensary near you. Piper, thanks so much, and we'll see you again here on Dazed and Infused.
Thank you.